Oh, it's a bright and early one this morning, and it is cold. So we've got our delivery of timber coming down from James Jones. That order is all the carcassing for the inside, basically stud work and joists. So it's a much needed delivery, but it's a big Arctic, and I've got to make sure we can unload. And yes, I might have just driven it all the way up through the fields with that as my visibility. I mean, it is -1 or 2, but that battery has no juice in it either. Lorry's here, 8:10. It was here at 8:05. They estimated 8 AM from Scotland. Pretty good. Right, fingers crossed. Oh, come on, it's a bit of heat now. Alright, we're in action. I think it's on both sides of the lorry, so we'll start on this side. Well, as they say in show business, that's a wrap. We've done all right there, 3 days, just the two of us. Let me walk you through, because it seemed a long time ago since we were putting walls up. So we started out with these stud walls. These are our supporting stud walls that are taking the floor load from above. They are on block work. We cut that nice channel down there, so we're all good. I had a chat with our structural engineer, because we didn't have a detail on this one. For some reason, or maybe we did and I just needed to question it, but because we've got that steel there, we actually need 250mm bearing, so we need to put another 3 studs in on this side, same again over here, and that's just going to transfer that load down. Now, once again, like I said in the last video, structurally we've made all of our walls to actually support the roof or contribute to the roof load, so they've been designed in such a way that they're actually fully supporting, and because of that, that's why we have probably got a very over-engineered stud wall, 400 centres, and a lot of these ones also get double skinned with 9mm OSB. So there we go, and as I walk backwards without tripping over, we've now reached this steel here. This steel is the beginning of our full height void, so this area of the building will have a vaulted ceiling all the way up to the roof, and we'll have a landing sort of bridge, I guess, that crosses across here to the other 2 bedrooms. So it means we've got to do a little bit of extra engineering with this open joist. So there's a double joist and it's strapped back, but that should be okay. What we've got to do next is do a good old clear up and start building stud wall this end, and it's almost a replica of what's down there. Well, after such a productive week, the week before, getting all of that floor done, all the walls. We had to carry on. We had to keep the momentum going. So it's straight into the walls this end, and it was nice to look back and think, well, all of that prep we did months and months ago, getting all the block work in before the concrete and the DPCs and the thermo blocks, it was all kind of coming back together, and we knew what we were doing. We knew why all that head scratching was worth it in the end. So these, there's two openings here, the wide one and then also another one going to a small bathroom. So all of this just lay out, and it thankfully all went to plan. So once those are up, it's very much similar to the other end, and we can get started on a glue lamp, get that bolted up, and then we start to feel what it's like to have kind of the flat ceiling sections either side of that big vaulted void in the middle. Right, we are trying our very best to move as much of the timber as we can up to the top yard where we're building, rather than leaving it down here. We don't really need all of it, certainly not for a while, but our good friends at James Jones sent everything in one hit, which is great. It means it's here. It just means the logistics. We think about where we're going to store stuff, so not moving it constantly. We're going to take those and the 120 timbers, which are the 5x2 stud. All of this is all of our internal 100mm stuff, which we do need but not quite yet, so we're going to just make sure it's wrapped and we'll leave it there for another couple of weeks. So we're juggling with a 14-foot trailer here, so yeah, yeah. No, it's not going on a public road, so it's about 20 metres round to the other yard. Poor trailer and poor truck. Interestingly, this is all of the offcuts plus a bit of hay from framing up the whole of the outside walls. I don't think we've got anything. So this is all the sheet material, I-joists and noggins from a 600 square metre footprint. So pretty impressive. Down a bit. Yeah. Yeah. Right, success. So that gives us all of our, in old money, all of our 5x2 and 9x2. So there we go. Walls, floors, ceilings. All British grown, it's what we like. That's a bit of a spoiler because that's one of the topics for discussion over some of our future videos. Homegrown British timber versus import. But anyway, for now we need to get some flooring up after coffee. Sorry, Sausage, we had to leave you in here, didn't we? Because the gate was open. There you go. There you go. Do you want a coffee? No, you don't need a coffee. No caffeine. You don't need caffeine. You don't need caffeine. They love a staple. That's all right.
We're in the... No, we're in the office. Yeah. Aren't we?
Yeah, one day.
Tim might not work at a dining room desk table.
There were just a few comments that came up in the last video which had a few questions about the hangers and the hardware and the nailer. So I'll go through that quickly now. So these are a different hanger from the conventional solid wood hanger which we'll be using in the next video. These are for engineered joists. So the flanges, the side parts, go all the way to the top. That's to make sure that you can nail into both the bottom and the top flange of the timber of the I-joist. And it would be the same if you was using a metal web posi joist. So I think these might be able to be used universally, so they could be used on solid timber, but they're specifically designed for engineered. So that's the reason why they go all the way to the top, and they look a little bit different from a normal one. So the other option for us would have been to sit these on top of a first floor and then build above. But like I've said in previous videos, it's all about getting the air tightness and the thermal performance as good as it can be. So for us, building the full height wall and sitting all of this inside of that envelope was far, far better, and it's going to give us a better performing building. So the other thing that came up in the questions was the actual fixings. We've got regular nails that are going into the wall. So they are the standard twisted or square type nails, which we're using the air compressor with that positive placement nailer. But also you want to be going into all of those if you're using a solid timber. But you do only have to go into one for the top flange and two for the bottom, and that's sufficient for a regular hanging. There are scenarios where you might need to pack out the web of the I-joist, and that way you get more fixings in. But for conventional fixing like this, it calls for top and bottom fixings. So although there was some slight concern about having standard height 2.4 meter ceilings, and it feeling a little bit closed in, I kind of like the contrast, because while it's not super low, it's not like a cottage, it feels a little bit more domestic than just having that huge void space everywhere. Yet we've still got maybe a third of the building with full height. So either full height in the central area going right up to the roof, or the garden room and the kitchen having sloped ceilings. So I think there's kind of a nice compromise of having a bit of both. The stairwell as well is going to be all the way up to the roof. So you kind of come in and out of these void spaces, which should make it a bit more interesting. Now, for those of you who might be eagerly awaiting some oak framing, because I'm eagerly awaiting dusting off the chisels, the plan is to actually frame up some oak in here. One, to break up the huge expanse of ceiling, but also just to soften it and feel it a little bit more farmhousey rather than warehousey. Unfortunately, because of the way that the structural side of things was done, we couldn't use oak as our actual supporting members for this floor. It's quite a big span, and just because of the load from above that oak, so it probably would have been enough for the floor joist, but not for anything from above, i.e. the roof. We're not able to do that. So we actually have to fake it in some respects. I'm not going to start boxing around steels and faking it that way. I'm actually going to frame it in oak. We have done a pad, an insulated pad each side on the inside of the steel column. So what I'm hoping to do is do 2 posts each side, probably in 175, 200 oak posts. a couple of braces, and then have a beam running across the top. That does mean that's going to lower, just in that section we'll have a lower beam. But you know, it's quite nice to have a little bit of a feature to break things up, like I said, and you know, hang Christmas decorations on and all that nonsense. So we'll have 2 of those goalposts, and then we may decide to kind of echo that through and do a little bit more in the porch as you come through. So there is oak, which is a little bit more structural on the outer skin of the building we yet to start, and that's going to be carrying the cladding and be between the red brick. So I'd like to bring it through, and then some year far from now, I plan to frame a pergola sort of shading along that whole southern end. Obviously facing south with a big building with large bits of glazing, there was a real risk of overheating. So we've shrunk some of our windows proportionally, and we will also be looking to offer a bit more shading. I've opted for shading in as much as the glazing has now got a 25% tint or something like that, which will help. And it's the whole of that elevation, so it shouldn't look too different. If anything, you'll probably see more blue skies from inside. But on the outside, we still want to cut down on some of that summer sun kind of beating through. So I think that's the plan. Shading on that side, and then we'll just see how the west ends up, because obviously we've got all that sliding doors facing the low sun. So that might just be an internal blind sort of thing to deal with. But progress made, and it's nice to kind of visualize the space a bit more now. It's been a while since I've put any links to products we're using, tools we're using. Joe keeps on making a reminder for me to do that. So I'll see if I can do that in this video, put it down in the description, because there's bound to be things like the nailer and other tools that people ask, and a lot of people ask about the tool belt and things like that. So I'll try and do that. We used to always do it, compile a list. It's normally an affiliate link from Amazon, but you don't have to buy it there, but it does help support the channel if you do. And I can't leave without saying a huge thank you to James Jones. They're the sponsor of these videos, and without them, things would be a lot slower and a lot more expensive. So huge thanks to them for obviously making the products in the first place, and their customer support. A few people have already asked for details and contact details for getting hold of I-joists. Now these JJ I-joists can be used like this. This is, I guess, 99% of the time they're used like this. We've used them in the studs, and I think that's growing in popularity. So whichever way you're aiming to use them, if you want to find more info, they've got a good technical manual on the website, which shows just about every application you can imagine, and when I've been referencing it all day. And there's more videos to come with those guys in the next couple of weeks when we start onto the internal fit out of all these partition walls. So exciting times. Hope you enjoyed that. Something different. I'm enjoying myself because it's something different from walls, but I'm going to leave it there. Thanks for watching. Remember, if you can, do it yourself, and we'll see you next time. Oh, shut up, goat.